This is Humble. He is a 16-year-old, 16-hand thoroughbred ex-racehorse. He's not currently in written work at the moment due to a right forelimb superficial digital flexor tendon injury. We're using him today for our training programme because he can be quite food aggressive with other horses and people. We're hoping that to teach him to back up will gain respect on the ground for everybody, and he can be a lot happier when food is around. As viewed in these photographs, Humble's musculature is very atrophied in the lumbar area and very underdeveloped in the hamstrings. Backing up will activate the rectus abdominis and external obliques muscles that have not been worked for a very long time. He needs to use these muscles to extend the back and engage atrophied muscles along the back, such as along the dorsi. This caudal view clearly marks out the atrophy in the biceps femoris and tensor fascia latae muscles. He is also showing asymmetries in the pelvis, and a slight tarsal valgus can be viewed, but this is conformational and may cause difficulties in backing up. This cranial view clearly shows the offloading from the right forelimb and a very slight carpal valgus, but this may be for balancing issues. This first triangle shows the left forelimb protraction phase in blue. The second pause photograph shows the right forelimb protraction phase in red, which is slightly smaller, but as would be expected as he does not want to extend that superficial digital flexor tendon. In the hind limbs, the first blue triangle shows the left hind protraction phase, followed by the second pause, which shows the red triangle, with a slightly smaller protraction phase with the right hind. Evidently Humble does have that right forelimb lameness, however he has been seen by a vet that has allowed this training programme to commence. At the walk, Humble shows no evidence of pain or discomfort. Trot, the author focused on Humble's inability to track up in both sets of diagonal pairs. This may be a result of poor proprioceptive deficits received from being on box rest and poor musculature in the hind limbs. This training programme has been specifically designed to suit Humble's needs and experience in training previously. There are 2 sessions dedicated to teaching Humble the clicker. This is because he has never come across this type of training before. Those are the first 2 sessions, although the second session will begin to ask Humble to back up. Clicker training has been successful in the past with other training programmes, even speeding up the process by a third of the time compared to training without a clicker, Gills et al. 2012. The third session will ask for a backup with voice and hand cues, using plenty of positive reinforcement to maintain engagement and neck with the scratches to lower heart rate, reducing stress from training. Ferry et al. 1993. Sessions 4 to 6 will slowly ask Humble to back up, reducing hand cues after session 5. Each session will ask for more movement until Humble can keep moving until asked to stop. Rewards will be consistent, yet only when Humble has completed the desired behaviour to encourage learning and development. If at any time Humble becomes stressed, agitated and training will pause and relax to build him up again slowly. The final session is not a training session, but whether Humble can follow the trained commands when not in training environment and when food is around. One was unfortunately rather unsuccessful due to handler inexperience, incorrect timings and positive reinforcement. This can lead to unanticipated or inappropriate responses to the handler's cue, McBride and Mills 2012. With regards to learning theory, the horse may not make the appropriate link between the prerequisite cue, the action and the consequence of this action. But at the end of this initial session, the handler believes that Humble hasn't made an appropriate link between the clicker and the reward, the food. Therefore, session 2 will be used as another initial session so that Humble can make this appropriate link before any training begins. The handler is using a previously known trick of saying please in order to feed the horse using the clicker. This is so the horse can associate doing a correct command and receiving an reward for this. This second session did go a lot smoother than the previous session. That is because the handler understood what went wrong the first time round and was able to correct it for the second time. During this session, the handler does begin to start asking the horse to back up on command using both hand signals and voice. This is an example of stimulus-response reinforcement theory, McCall 1990, or examples of trial and error behaviours, where Humble randomly performs an action in order to work out what is required to obtain a reward. However, as previously, Humble has only learned one trick before, he believes that this is what we're being asked of him. Therefore, he does get rather frustrated, and his anger starts building when he's not being rewarded for what he believes is doing the right thing. He overcomes these issues by operant conditioning techniques of negative punishment. By ignoring the unwanted behaviour of just lifting the leg, Humble becomes rather agitated at times and stomps his hoof on the ground. However, this behaviour is ignored and the training session can continue. This technique is successful as Humble soon learns that he does not get rewarded for this behaviour, and the positive reinforcement of food is Humble's main aim. At the end of this second session, Humble was walking a couple of steps backwards, with the handler gently encourage him with gentle pressure on his chest. If the session was completed again, the handler should have been rewarding sooner. This third session begins very slowly, with initially no evidence of improvement from previous sessions. However, less attempts of just raising a leg for a treat were apparent. In this instant, Humble may still be confused as to what is being asked of him, and he's staying very quiet in order to not make a mistake. It is during this session that we really see an improvement in Humble's learning. He successfully completes 2 to 3 strides without the need of the hand signals. This suggests that Humble is now understanding clicker training and what is being asked of him, and therefore can successfully complete the desired tasks. The International Training Society of Equitation Science released a paper by McLean, McGreevy and Christensen in 2017, stating that forming consistent habit, elicit responses one at a time, will amount to maximum training efficiency and should be part of any training regime. Session 4 was very promising. The handler regarded this session as a pivotal moment for Humble, as he showed real understanding of what is being required of him. The beginning of the session started with just asking Humble to place the leg behind, as he had successfully achieved before. However, at the end of the session, Humble was confidently taking 2 strides back without visual aids, just voice commands. As these sessions are becoming more and more challenging for Humble, a certain amount of frustration-related behaviours are to be expected. Mills and McDonald, 2005. The handler uses the operant conditioning technique of negative punishment. This was very successful at calming Humble, and the session was soon continued. No more examples of aggressive behaviour or frustration were evident during the remaining of this session. Therefore, it is assumed Humble genuinely enjoyed this training session. Visual clues such as voice and body language are installed through classical conditioning once the horse has learnt what is being asked of them. McLean and Christensen, 2017. Towards the end of the session, the handler attempted to challenge Humble even further by asking him to step up more than a couple of steps. She did this by not rewarding him after one stride. However, initially, Humble found this very confusing, but he soon learned of what was being asked. Session 5 went very successfully, and at the end Humble was walking backwards on command at least a stride. However, technical difficulties means that the camera did not record this session. Therefore, a big jump can be witnessed here from the last recorded session. Within this session, Humble responded very positively to training. The handler believes that Humble fully understands clicker training and what is being asked of him. Learning theory states that a horse learns when a link is made between the consequence of an action and the prerequisite situation of that action. In this case, Humble has learnt that when the handler asks for the backup, he is rewarded as he backs up. However, he still finds it difficult to perform when the handler does not walk back with him. In the middle of the session, Humble began preempting what would be required to do next by walking backwards, then rushing back to the handler to receive his reward. Pavlov's classical conditioning original suggestion in 1890 argued that when animals expect a reward, they complete behaviours which they believe will obtain them this reward, which Humble does to a great extent during this session. He suggests that the term frustration describes thwarted motion, or in other words, preventing the handler from doing something the horse does not want, Starling et al. 2016. This may be as a result of confusing horse-human dyad. In this instance, Humble becomes confused as to what the handler wants, and therefore doesn't understand what behaviour to adopt, so chooses an inappropriate locomotory response of lifting the forelimb towards the handler. The International Society of Equitation paper mentioned earlier also stated that training should shape response to the movement by starting off with the basics, then ask for more improvement step-by-step way, which is what Humble is just beginning to understand now. The session was concluded on a positive note. Humble was successfully walking backwards as long as the handler was asking him to do so. In this clip, we are putting into practice what has been learnt in training. We are asking him to back up so he does not rush through the door in order to get his food. He can see that the hay net and food and breakfast are prepared in the stable that we've just left. The handler is getting Humble to back up so that he does not rush through and barge past humans. I had collar and lead rope not attached to Humble during this session. This is because we wanted to make it as realistic as possible, and so that daily activities, such as bringing him in from his outside pen, will not be rushed. Other horses banging doors can be heard in this video, however Humble is not fazed by this. The main reason for completing this training programme was to reduce aggressive food-related behaviours towards both horses and humans. By teaching him to walk back, we are rewriting built-in wild behaviours that aggressive have to go forward. Walking backwards is what retreated animals do, and therefore this is not aggressive. In this slowed down section, we can see Humble considers walking straight past the handler, however soon decides to go backwards as commanded, showing real progress throughout the training programme. Back up, back up, back up, back up. Thank you for taking the time to watch this educational video about training a horse to back up on command. We hope you have enjoyed watching it as much as we have enjoyed producing it. Hannah and Humble.